So imagine this for a second. You're walking through this really dense forest, maybe late afternoon. Dusk is falling.
Mm.
You can smell the damp earth, the leaves. It, it feels properly wild.
Right, remote.
But here's the twist. It's sort of like you're actually right on the edge of a big, bustling city.
Okay.
And then, as things get quiet, you hear this croak, but it's different, totally unique.
Okay, not your average frog sound.
Exactly. And that was basically the start of this, like a scientific puzzle that took, get this, 2 decades to solve.
20 years, wow. That's something else. To think something new could be hiding out right next to a city for that long.
Isn't it wild? It really makes you stop and think about what else might be out there, in places we assume we already know inside out.
It really does. Undiscovered life right under our noses.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. This is a deep dive into a pretty amazing discovery, really. A reminder that nature's still got plenty of surprises up its sleeve.
And the big reveal is fantastic. So April 14th, 2025, that's the day it became official. A team of herpetologists, reptile and amphibian experts.
Right.
They confirmed a brand new frog species, Leptobrachium Aryatium.
Leptobrachium Aryatium.
Okay. And the description, it has these incredible, fiery orange and black eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Really striking.
Whoa, orange and black. That sounds almost unreal. Where did they find this beauty?
In Assam, specifically in the Garbhanga Reserve Forest.
Garbhanga. Okay, and that's the place near the city.
Exactly. It's right there on the southwestern fringe of Guwahati.
Wow.
But don't picture just like a city park. This place is a proper biodiversity hotspot. We're talking elephants.
Elephants. Near Guwahati.
Yep. Elephants, tons of butterflies, rare birds. It's a really rich little ecosystem. And now, this incredible frog.
So it's this little pocket of wilderness sort of holding out against the city sprawl?
Pretty much. And its location is so important, highlighting that whole interface between, us and the natural world. It shows how vital these urban green spaces really are.
Definitely. So that's our mission for this deep dive then. We want to unpack how this frog stayed hidden for so long, why finding it is a big deal, and, what it tells us about the biodiversity that's, literally just outside our doors sometimes.
And it's a fascinating story because, as you mentioned, it wasn't quick. This whole thing really kicked off way back in 2004.
20 years ago. That's nuts. So what happened back then? Did they find it but not realize it was new?
Precisely. Researchers first came across this frog, but they identified it as a known relative, Leptobrachium smithii.
Ah, okay. A case of mistaken identity.
Yeah, and it was understandable at the time. The knowledge about the whole Leptobrachium group in Assam was, let's just say it was incomplete, like trying to solve a jigsaw with half the pieces missing.
Right. You work with the info you have.
Exactly. And it shows how science works, doesn't it? Our understanding evolves. What looks similar on the surface can turn out to be very different once you dig deeper.
So what prompted them to dig deeper? Why go back and question that initial ID?
Well, there were some key discoveries in nearby regions. Scientists found Leptobrachium racinens over in Myanmar.
Okay.
And Leptobrachium soleticum down in Bangladesh. These finds suggested, hey, maybe there's more diversity in this frog family in this whole area than we thought.
Ah, so finding new cousins nearby made them think, hang on, let's double check our local guy.
You got it. It was like a little flag went up. Maybe the Assam frogs deserved a closer look.
So they went back, looked again, and presumably started noticing things that didn't quite fit the smithii description.
Exactly. As they gathered more data, compared notes, the unique features of this Assam frog started to become really clear.
Like what? What makes Aryatium stand out?
Well, physically, it's got a stockier build, more robust than smithii. Its head is broader, and its back legs are actually a bit shorter.
Subtle differences, but measurable.
Right. And then, of course, the eyes. That incredible fiery orange against the black. That's a major visual cue.
Those eyes sound like the headline feature. But you mentioned other things, too. Wasn't there something about its throat pattern and its call?
Spot on. It has this distinct reticulated pattern, like a net on its throat, another visual marker, and yes, its call.
The unique croak from the start.
That's the one. It calls around dusk, and the sound is described as, smoother compared to Smithii's call. Even tiny differences in sound can be crucial for telling frog species apart.
Okay, so they're building this picture. Different body shape, striking eyes, throat pattern, unique call. But how do you prove it scientifically that it's not just, a weird variation?
Right. That's where the hardcore science comes in. They needed solid proof. So the team used a combination of methods.
Like DNA.
Definitely DNA analysis,
Yeah.
comparing its genetic code to known Leptobrachium species to see if it was distinct enough.
That makes sense. What else?
They also did morphometrics. That involves taking really precise body measurements, head width, limb length, all that stuff, and using statistics to see if the differences are consistent and significant.
Okay, measuring everything up.
Yep. And finally, bioacoustics.
Yeah.
They recorded the calls and analyzed the sound waves, the frequency, the duration, the pattern to scientifically quantify how different its voice is.
Wow, so genetics, physical measurements, and sound analysis.
Exactly. A three-pronged attack, basically.
And all three pointed to the same conclusion.
That's the key. All lines of evidence confirmed. This frog was unique. It wasn't Smithy. It wasn't anything else known. It was genuinely a new species.
That is some thorough scientific work. Really leaves no room for doubt.
No, it's the gold standard for describing a new species. Using multiple independent lines of evidence like that gives the conclusion real weight.
Okay, let's talk about the people behind this. It wasn't just one scientist, right? It was a team effort over all those years.
Absolutely. This discovery is credited to 4 dedicated herpetologists: Dr. Jayaditya Purkayastha, Dr. Dipankar Dutta, Dr. Jayanta Gogoi, and Dr. Saibal Singh Gupta.
Okay.
Their combined expertise and sheer persistence really paid off.
And the name they chose? Aryatium. You mentioned it wasn't just random. There's a connection there.
Yeah, this is a really lovely part of the story. Leptobrachium Aryatium is named in honor of Arya Vijayapith College in Guwahati
Oh, wow. What, that college?
because all 4 researchers have a personal connection to it. They were either students there or are faculty members.
That's fantastic. So it's like a tribute to their roots, to where their scientific journey began or continued.
Exactly. It's a wonderful bit of, you could say, school spirit finding its way into taxonomy. Naming a species after your alma mater or workplace. That's a pretty special way to honor it.
It really is a lasting legacy. And this is all official now, published and recognized.
Yep. The findings were formally published in the journal Zootaxa on April 14th, 2025.
Zootaxa. That's a major journal for this kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Highly respected internationally for taxonomy. Getting it published there means the work has been peer-reviewed, scrutinized by other experts, and accepted by the scientific community. Leptobrachium Aryatium is officially on the map.
Amazing. So this little frog, hidden for decades, now has its official place in the book of life, so to speak. Which brings us back to the bigger picture. Why does finding a new frog in an urban forest actually matter so much?
That's such an important question. And Dr. Purkayastha, one of the researchers, has been quite vocal about this. He really stresses the importance of urban biodiversity.
Meaning wildlife in and around cities.
Exactly. Often, conservation focus goes to big national parks, remote wilderness, which is vital, of course.
Yeah.
But this discovery kind of challenges us to think closer to home. Dr. Purkayastha argues we often overlook the significant wildlife living right alongside us in urban green patches.
So we tend to think cities are just pigeons and maybe rats, but there's more going on.
Much more, potentially. He and his colleagues have found quite a surprising range of wildlife within Guwahati itself. These urban green spaces aren't ecological deserts.
And Garbhanga Forest being right there is a prime example.
Absolutely. These urban forests provide really crucial ecosystem services, things we often take for granted.
Like what kind of services?
Well, they help regulate the local climate, keeping things a bit cooler. They act as natural air filters, cleaning the air we breathe. They're important for managing water systems, preventing runoff.
Okay, so they're actually working for the city's health.
In a very real way, yes. They contribute to the overall livability and resilience of the urban environment. They're not just nice to look at. They're functional.
Which makes the threat from development even more worrying. These places must be under pressure.
Huge pressure. Urban sprawl, infrastructure projects. They constantly nibble away at these habitats. Finding Leptobrachium Aryatium there is like a little wake-up call. Look what's here. Look what we stand to lose.
Yeah, it puts a face or striking eyes on the issue.
Exactly. And that's why Dr. Purkayastha is calling for more research specifically on urban biodiversity in places like India and for better conservation strategies tailored to cities.
Are other countries doing better at this?
Some are, yes. There are places with more established systems for mapping, monitoring, and protecting urban wildlife corridors and habitats. It's an area where India, as he points out, could definitely strengthen its approach. Understanding species like this frog helps build the case for that protection.
So this little frog becomes a kind of symbol then?
I think so. It symbolizes how much we still don't know, even in familiar environments, and it highlights the need to just Pay attention. Look closer.
And frogs in general, they're important players in the ecosystem, aren't they?
Oh, massively important. They're great pest controllers. For one, they eat huge numbers of insects.
Right. Nature's bug zappers.
Kind of. And they're also really sensitive bioindicators. Because they absorb things through their skin and live in both water and on land, their health is like a barometer for the health of the whole environment. If the frogs aren't doing well, it's usually a sign that something's wrong with the ecosystem.
Okay, that makes sense. And this discovery also adds another layer to Assam's reputation, right? It's already known as this incredibly rich area for wildlife.
Absolutely. Assam is part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, one of the most species-rich areas on the entire planet. Think rhinos, gibbons, incredible diversity.
Yeah.
Adding a new frog species,
Yeah.
especially one that was overlooked for so long,
Yeah.
just further emphasizes how incredibly special and important this region is ecologically.
And it's also a story about the people, isn't it? The scientists. Their dedication over such a long time.
Definitely. We shouldn't forget the human element. This wasn't an accident. It took years of patient field work, careful observation, laboratory analysis. It speaks volumes about their passion and commitment.
Ordinary people doing extraordinary work, really.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm.
Driven by curiosity and a desire to understand the world around us. It's a reminder that science relies on that kind of persistent, dedicated effort.
So wrapping things up, the key takeaway for me from this deep dive is really twofold. First, the amazing, often hidden biodiversity that exists right in our urban backyards.
Mm.
And second, just how many secrets nature still holds, even in places we think are completely mapped out.
Well said. And it really does leave you wondering, doesn't it? If this frog was hiding near Guwahati for so long, what else is out there?
Right. What might be undiscovered in the parks or green spaces near where our listeners live?
It encourages you to maybe look a little closer next time you're out, to appreciate those little pockets of nature within our towns and cities.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe folks listening might want to check out local conservation groups or even just spend a bit more time exploring the nature in their own neighborhoods. You never know.
You really don't. This fiery-eyed frog from an urban forest is a pretty cool reminder that discovery and wonder can still be found, sometimes right where you least expect it.